A very good morning to you. It is 7 a.m. Thursday, November 20th, 2025, 1 week before the day of Thanksgiving. Welcome to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We'll take your calls, 888-658-0234. Mixed sun and clouds today, highs upper 40s. We head to meteorologist Mike Favetta. He'll have a first check of the Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
And I saw overnight temperatures in my neck of the woods in the 20s. Was that right? Or
Oh,
was I kind of
yes.
in dreamland?
No, you're right. You looked out, it looked like kind of Narnia-esque. You had a little frost, a little bit of a morning fog in some spots. It is chilly outside this morning. And with the frost that's around Ken, yes, there are temperatures in the northwestern corner of New Jersey in the 20s right now. With just a little bit of a wind, it makes it feel like the upper teens. Very, very chilly this morning. Even down toward Tom's River, the Pine Barrens, 30 degrees there, 39 on LBI. So cold weather all around New Jersey, with the wind chill making it feel like it's right around the freezing mark as well. Not too much of a breeze. That allowed for that frost to occur overnight. And we are a solid 11 to, around 11 degrees below average. Below this time yesterday. Temperatures were 11 degrees warmer this time yesterday. So, yes, the cold air is in place. Have a little bit of a cloudy start to the day. And I think we'll see that trend go forward into this afternoon. More clouds than sunshine. Yesterday turned out to be pretty decent for a bit, but with the clouds around this afternoon, a little bit of an easterly breeze at the coast, keeping those clouds around, it'll look a little grayer today and not really warm up all that much. Feeling very chilly, had that very damp feeling around last night, with the, you can see your breath, it was kind of that raw kind of feeling. Yeah, that lasts through today. Not all that warm, especially with the future cast showing those clouds sticking around throughout most of the afternoon, and highs not even leaving the 40s in most of New Jersey. More clouds around for the rest of today, with more rain on the way for tomorrow evening. So yes, we keep those clouds around, have another quick passing shower, and then it all clears out just in time for the weekend. A beautiful weekend ahead with mostly sunny skies for Saturday. Granted, even cooler weather ahead at night. More, a little bit warmer each afternoon. The next few days seeing that milder trend take over, but sunshine returns by Sunday. Just have to make it through the clouds until then. We'll tell you more about it in detail coming up with a check of your weekend weather, Ken, in just a few minutes.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate that. In terms of temperature, 35 degrees northern New Jersey, and it's 31 degrees right now in Trenton. We take a look at some of the traffic we have. Let's go to West Milford, that area. Oak Ridge Road at 23 was closed. Let's take a look at what that looks like. And we saw a lot of traffic there. Do we have that camera? We don't have it. All right. Pam, our director, got in my ear like literally, if the house was on fire, wouldn't have mattered. Make sure you talk about the fact that Oak Ridge Road is 23. All right, so at least we know that there's a closure there. There's some kind of an issue. We also have a crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound, north of exit 130BA, which is Route 1 Woodbridge. All lanes are open. The vehicles are on the right shoulder, but that's causing a lot of delays through that area, as you can imagine. And we have an overturned tractor trailer on Outer Port Street westbound. It's not saying what town that's in, but if you know of an Outer Port Street, you know that it's a problem. We have an overturned tractor trailer there. We also have a water main break, Route 168 southbound at Prospect Ridge Boulevard in Mount Ephraim. The right lane and the right shoulder are closed. The approaches to the Hudson River right now, we're told at the Holland Tunnel, there are delays now. South Tunnel eastbound, Toll Plaza, all lanes are open, but we're told travel time now is 25 to 30, which is about 10 minutes longer than it usually takes at this time for the Holland. Lincoln Tunnel right now is about 25 to 30. That's actually about the same as the Holland, so either way it'll be the same ride. We look at the GWB upper and lower levels, 8095 approach right now. That's actually not bad, the way you see that moving right there. That's about 30 minutes in, either approach upper or lower 8095. 7:04 is our time right now, and President Trump announced yesterday that yes, in fact, he has finally signed legislation that the Congress has sent him. Both the House and the Senate has sent this. This forces the federal government to release documents related to convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. The measure Trump signed into law requires the Department of Justice to turn over all unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials, and all classified information to the maximum extent possible to Congress within 30 days. The bill sailed through the House 427 to 1. One person who was against it, it wasn't that he had something to hide. He said that he feels there's a lot of information in there with innocent people. And you can understand this. People like, for instance, if you had no idea who Epstein was and you made a phone call to him and you showed up in his phone record, you're going to be on that list. And you have nothing to do with anything. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised their names are on the list, and they have nothing to do with the clandestine, dirty, convicted, guy that we knew as Epstein. And I think a lot of people are going to be caught up in that and be very upset because everybody, again, it's like a mob mentality. Everybody rushed to judgment. It was about we got to get out because the Democrats are so obsessed. They are convinced there is something in there, something, a little crumb that lists Trump to Epstein, and there's nothing. And I'll tell you why there is nothing, why I know there's nothing. Here's why I know there's nothing. Because for 4 years, the Democrats controlled everything. They control the House, they control the Senate, they control the presidency, they control the Supreme Court, they controlled it all. They had the Justice Department. They had the Epstein file. They had access to all of it. Do you think for 1 second, if there was a shred of anything that connected Trump to Epstein, that would not have been out during the campaign like you know what, nobody's business? That's why I can tell you with every drop of blood in my body and every breath of air in my lungs, there is nothing other than prior to 2000, when Epstein just happened to be a neighbor of Trump in Palm Beach Island and used to go to Mar-a-Lago until he tried to steal an employee away. And according to Trump's people, Epstein attempted to pick up an underage girl who was the daughter of a very important member of Mar-a-Lago. At that point, Trump kicked him out, severed all ties, and said, "You're done." This was before Epstein was ever accused of or sentenced to anything related to sex offenses. And from that point on, Trump had nothing to do with him. It was only later that there were sex offenses. And by the way, after he was convicted of being a child predator and a trafficker of underage children, it was only then that the minority leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, the young Barack, it was only then that his people went after Epstein looking for, as we say in Italian, scarole. That means escarole. That means green, leafy money. Yes, Hakeem Jeffries, the innocent, the staged, weird guy who talks like this, who has no emotions on his face. There's something weird about that. There's something weird about that. I don't care what you say. Ken, that's racist. It's not racist. There's something weird about him. I don't care what his race is. There's something weird about the stoicness and he talks. There's something not quite there, a little off. But Hakeem Jeffries, who has a big anger streak, Hakeem Jeffries was livid when he found out that apparently it wasn't him directly, it was an agency that his people hired to raise money. They not only went after Epstein for donations, they went after Epstein to come to a dinner. They wanted his presence. They wanted to take pictures with him after he was a convicted child predator. So if you compare the two, the Democrats trying desperately to make Trump look like a pro-Epstein guy versus that, what do you think looks worse? I'm just saying. So Trump will sign this, and then there'll be up to 30 days, and the Democrats are going to scream that there's a cover-up. I promise you, because they have to go through tens of thousands of pages and make sure they cross off names and of innocent victims and stuff. You can't. There were thousands of victims. You cannot release the names of victims. It's against the law. So Pam Bondi now has all the pressure. She has to make sure that her department covers everybody's name up so that nothing gets out, or else they'll be held to pay. With the Attorney General. 7:09, investigators say they're looking for a person of interest in that fatal stabbing near the Linden TGI Fridays back on November 9th. Police say it happened about 10 p.m. at the restaurant on 400 South Park Avenue. They received reports there was a fight. When they got there, they found 35-year-old Eric Kunz of Keyport unresponsive. He had a stab wound in his abdomen. He was rushed to a nearby hospital, and that's where he was pronounced dead. The Union County Prosecutor's Office released an image of a person of interest, the man you see on your screen. They say he is approximately 50, black, 6 feet, 200 pounds, shoulder-length locks, and a black and gray patchy beard. He was dressed in all black, as you can see there, with red and black Air Jordan 14 sneakers, no tattoos. It is believed he may go by the name D. Anyone with information should call police. 7:10, police say that a driver ran a red light, colliding with a Hasbrook Heights police cruiser. Not a good thing to do. A review of the officer's dash cam shows, in fact, the officer did have the green light, according to the police, when that second vehicle failed to stop at a red light. The incident happened 5 a.m. Tuesday at the intersection of Terrace and Franklin Avenues. The officer is expected to recover. The 64-year-old driver of the other vehicle, a man from Hackensack, is expected to get some summonses. 7:10, 7 years after a sexual assault scandal rocked his career, Kevin Spacey, the actor, has revealed he's homeless. The Oscar-winning actor announced he's living in hotels, Airbnbs, and going wherever work is, but has no actual home. Spacey, who's denied any wrongdoing, said his legal costs have been astronomical. The 66-year-old American beauty actor was accused by over 30 men of inappropriate behavior or sexual assault. Spacey was found not guilty of assaulting 4 men in July of 2023 in a high-profile UK trial and found not liable in a 2022 lawsuit in New York. Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Sherfilas McCormick of Florida has been indicted by a federal grand jury, once again a Democrat, on charges of stealing $5 million in FEMA funds, which she is accused of laundering to support her 2021 congressional campaign. The indictment was announced by the Justice Department yesterday. The indictment alleges the Congresswoman and her brother got a $5 million quote-unquote overpayment in FEMA funds directed to their family health care company in connection with a contract for COVID-19 vaccine staffing in 2021. They allegedly conspired to use the overpaid funds to benefit her campaign by rerouting it through multiple accounts to disguise its source. It's called money laundering. If convicted, she could face over 50 years. Oh, to be a fly on the wall, President Trump and New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani, the elect mayor, will meet at the White House tomorrow. Trump said the meeting will take place in the Oval Office. Further details to follow. In his post announcing Friday's meeting on Truth Social, Trump referred to the mayor-elect as Communist Mayor of New York City, Zohran Kwame Mamdani. His middle name is Kwame. Trump said that he doesn't want Mamdani to succeed, but he does want New York to succeed. Mamdani said that his team reached out to the White House to set up that meeting. But Trump, he'll meet with anybody, and that's a good thing on his behalf. Coming up on 7:13, mixed sun and clouds today, highs upper 40s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will be back with the full garden forecast. The number to call, 888-658-0234. You're watching ONNJ Mornings on your Thursday, 1 week shy of Thanksgiving. Don't go away. We're coming right back.
Our Stable Life, New Jersey's first equine wellness center. Are you or a loved one suffering from PTSDs, trauma, or life challenges? Consider non-riding equine therapy, where the soul is touched by the presence of a horse with a certified counselor. Our Stable Life is a non-profit at Bergen Equestrian Center in Leonia, New Jersey. We partner with individuals, groups, and agencies to help people recover from addiction, trauma, phobias, and more. Explore equine therapy for healing. BergenEquestrianCenter.com.
At AmeriHealth, we understand what's important to you. It's why we offer some of the lowest cost health plans in New Jersey, with access to one of the state's largest networks of doctors and hospitals. Plus, with free 24/7 virtual care, you can see a doctor anytime and anywhere. And we're committed to giving back to help make a difference in our communities. Learn more at AmeriHealth.com. A health plan for everyone.
Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Thursday. I'm Ken Rosato at 7:15, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Mixed sun and clouds today. Highs upper 40s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will tell you the details with the Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
So what's it looking like? It was cold on the overnight, Mike. We had temps
Hmm.
into the 20s where I am.
Yeah, and frost on the car. I got outside, moved the car this morning, and went, "Ooh, look at that! It's been a while since we've seen the frost." Yes, so there is some cold weather around after a very damp evening, allowing for some frost to develop along some of the coldest spots here in New Jersey. But with the chill around today and pretty much the lack of sunshine, we might get a few breaks of sun here and there, but still only warm to 48 degrees. So this chilly trend continues right into the next few days. The wind chill, I think, also hits us hard going into tomorrow. Back down feeling like it's around freezing. Tomorrow afternoon, a little bit of a breeze off of the water, aiding in the chill. And then even colder for Saturday morning. Back down feeling like the 20s with that chilly weather. And Sunday, teens. So yeah, it only gets colder this point forward, with the 20s right down toward the coast thanks to that northwesterly breeze. So the clear sky that sets up for the weekends will make for even colder overnights, even though it warms up a little bit by the afternoon. That clear sky throughout the overnight allows for that radiational cooling. All the heat from the day escapes back into space and allows it to feel cooler. These clouds overnight act as like a little bit of a blanket, keeping the winds calm, allowing for that frost to develop, but still makes it quite cool. With highs only at 51 on Saturday, 49 by Sunday. We're dry this weekend. That's key. Always good news to head into the weekend dry, especially a big travel weekend. We look good here across New Jersey. We'll let you know how the next week looks right through the Thanksgiving holiday. It's coming up with your 7-day forecast, Ken, in a few minutes.
We look good. You always look good. I mean, you should just go. In fact, I think the next weather hit, I should say, here's meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. You should just go back to you. That's it. I think that would be appropriate. That would be it.
We'll just do
I mean, I'll check with
gestures.
the peeps. That's
It'll be a gesture weather. Yeah.
you could do a whole Italian forecast, it'd be like, and I would get every word you're saying, every word. You would not need to vocalize at all. All right, and every Italian American out there knows we're right. It is 7:18. We'll check back, Mike. Thank you, my friend. 34 degrees right now, and that's not mockery. There literally is. If you go online, you'll see different people from different parts of Italy who will give you different hand gestures, and people who are Italian or Italian American will know basically what every hand gesture means, and you could get through a pretty good conversation with. I mean, it means like, I'm hungry, give me something to eat. I mean, literally every hand gesture means something. When people came from foreign lands and met up with people, they had to communicate somehow. So I'm sure that was the way they did it. 7:18 right now. We have a crash on the New Jersey Turnpike, Pennsylvania extension westbound, west of the Turnpike South in Mansfield Township. I looked at the cameras in that area. There are only a few cameras on the Pennsylvania extension, and they're not showing anything. But apparently, this is causing two right lanes to be blocked, and that's causing a lot of traffic. Again, New Jersey Turnpike, Pennsylvania extension westbound, west of the New Jersey Turnpike South. So that's where the Turnpike branch is, and there are two right lanes blocked. A local road to talk about. Again, there is an overturned tractor trailer, Outer Porter Street westbound. And then we have Garden State Parkway, two issues right now. Let's show this one, the one in Woodbridge, Pam. There you go. Now, that doesn't look too bad right there because that's still a mile away from the first issue we're going to tell you about. But there is a crash. Sorry about the focus. That's the camera we have no control over. There is a crash on the Garden State northbound, north of exit 130BA, which is Route 1 in Woodbridge. All lanes are open, but vehicles are on the right shoulder. That's causing a little slowdown. So all you're seeing a mile and a half back right here is just a little volume. But as you get closer, that's where there is a bit of rubbernecking. We also have a crash further south on the Garden State Parkway northbound, and it's just north of exit 30, Chambers Bridge Road in Brick. All lanes are open, vehicles on the left shoulder in that case. And we have a water main break on 168 southbound, Prospect Ridge Boulevard in Mount Ephraim. The right lane of two lanes on the right shoulder are closed. Hudson River approaches right now. The Holland and Lincoln are both 30 minutes across. That's a lot for this hour. GWB is not bad. Upper and lower levels are heavy but moving. So you see a little bit of emotion. That's about 5 miles an hour. So that's going to get you in at about 35-ish, about 35 minutes from where that is right now. So just to give you an idea, I know exactly where that is. When they say it's 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in, there are specific points where they're referring to. If there is motion at a certain point, like where that overhead sign is right there, that would be, that motion 5 miles an hour would be about 30 to 35 minutes into Manhattan. That's from 40 years of covering this. It is 7:21 right now, and hospitals in New Jersey are seeing a spike in admissions associated with COVID, flu, and RSV. Since the end of October, respiratory hospitalizations have gone up, not like last year, though. They're saying last year at this point, there was quite a spike, and it's not as large. That's good news. The majority of hospitalizations with COVID and flu have been reported in ages 65 and older. RSV, though, it's funny because RSV, you have kids 4 and under and 65 and older. RSV tends not to impact the people in between. So they're all different respiratory illnesses. Just, my doctor always tells me, just get a damn flu shot, Ken. So I do get a flu shot every year. I don't get COVID shots anymore. That's personal. If you want to get a COVID shot, talk to your doctor. I've taken, I think, 9,000 COVID shots, and I keep getting COVID. When I don't get a COVID shot, I'm just talking anecdotally. I don't get COVID. So it's a different vaccine. I put it in air quotes. But anyway, that's something you discuss with your doctor. Everybody should have their own. I don't want to tell you how to live your life, but I'm done with COVID shots. Personally, for Ken Rosato, that's what I'm talking about. And there's no law that says I have to take one. So there you go. So just beware. Flu, COVID, RSV, they're all out right now and starting to spike. Just beware. Okay. It is 7:22. 12 residents from throughout the state of New Jersey have been charged in a scheme involving the cashing of $11 million in stolen checks. That's 12 people, $11 million. That's a lot of money. The feds charged those individuals, saying many cashed COVID relief payments to businesses. That's the second story today. And we knew this was going to happen. When President Biden started releasing money during COVID like it was candy, anybody, you get $1 billion and you get $1 billion, and that money has to come from somewhere. It comes from you and me. And what happens, people don't understand. They think the government just prints money. What's the big deal? The problem with the government just printing money is every time they print a certain amount of money, it's like taking money out of your pocket. What do I mean? There's a finite pool of cash in the money system. Say there's $1 billion. Let's just say there was $1 billion. Now, if the government decides to print another billion that's not backed by gold or anything, now the dollar in your pocket is only worth 50 cents. Because instead of being 1 billion out there, there's 2 billion. So when there was 1 billion, you had $1 of the 1 billion. Now you'd have $1 of the 2 billion, which means there's going to be inflation, which means things are going to cost more, which means the dollar in your pocket is devalued. So every time the Biden people, see, they didn't mind doing it because in the short term, it made them look good. They thought they'd get reelected. Just give people money, give people money. And then you knew it would be rife with fraud. And that is exactly what happened. So the Fed has charged these individuals, many cashing COVID relief payments to businesses. 10 of the defendants appeared in Newark federal court last week. Again, innocent till proven guilty. Another was previously in custody. One is still on the run. In total, they allegedly deposited 111 checks amounting to $11 million. That's crazy. 7:24, a Mercer County man and his girlfriend have been charged with a number of crimes, including having a loaded gun in a child's bedroom. Detectives say back on November 6th, they found $50,000 in cocaine at the home of 42-year-old Hedson Perez of Hamilton. Police say Perez and his 31-year-old girlfriend, Lisbeth Acevedo Lara, are both charged with drug and weapons offenses and a count of endangering the welfare of a child because that weapon was found loaded in the child's drawer on the table next to his bed. That's according to police. The House passed a pair of bills yesterday repealing cashless bail in D.C. and a law that limited cops' use of force. The first measure would require people accused of dangerous or violent crimes to be detained before and after a trial. Both serious and petty crimes have plummeted since President Trump moved to take over crime enforcement in D.C. earlier this year. D.C. is immaculate. It is spotless, clean, and there is no crime now. You can go down there, take your family, walk on the street in the middle of the night counting money. You'll be fine. That's unbelievable. And that just shows you that there is a handful of people, in DC's case, like 3,000 people for the whole city, that were causing all the problems. They're now in jail. Once you get the problems, the element out and the illegal aliens out. Now there's traffic down, crime is down, everything's working out. Shock. Trump said the Democrats could have done this years ago, but they didn't want to. Trump fixed it. And now they're going to criticize him. Well, what's going on at Disney? The New York Post is reporting that a fifth person who was at the lavish Disney World Resort, a lavish Disney World Resort, and I will say they have beautiful resorts. Apparently, a fifth person is dead in a string of deaths in less than a month that's cast a dark shadow over the most magical place on earth. The unidentified guest was reportedly pronounced dead at Disney's Saratoga Springs Resort and Spa. I've been there in Lake Buena Vista, just steps from Disney Springs, on November 8th. No further details about their mysterious death. The eerie wave of deaths at the sprawling theme park started October 14th when 31-year-old Summer Equitz was found dead at the Contemporary Resort in an apparent suicide. And we've told you for nearly a year that vast numbers of protesters you see on TV are phony. They're paid. They're organized by radical left-wing groups like George Soros-backed groups. We've even interviewed the owner of a company that literally supplies protesters. In fact, we had him on twice on this show. He supplies protesters to protest on a per protester sliding scale. You need a protester, $200. You need another guy, $400. Now we find out anti-Israel agitators at U.S. colleges were given $1,000 a person by a Muslim nonprofit. The money was given to students who led pro-Palestinian protests before and after the Hamas attack on Israel, October 7th of 2023. That, according to a report by the Network Contagion Research Institute and the Intelligent Advocacy Network. The cash was awarded from a Champions of Justice Fund. See, you call it a name like that, it sounds good. Set up by the California chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, C-A-I-R, as institutional endorsement. So stop believing these protests are organic and real. They're bull crap. It's all phony. Maybe a few of the dumb kids just get washed up because their boyfriend or girlfriend does it, but most of them are organized and paid. It is a fact. It is now 7:27, 33 degrees. When we come back, many people feel the effects of the winter blues. We'll discuss seasonal affective disorder when we come back. You're watching ONNJ Mornings on your Thursday. Don't go away. Very good morning to you. It is a chilly 34 degrees in northern New Jersey, 31 in Trenton. It is November 20th, 2025, a Thursday. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. Mixed sun and clouds today, highs upper 40s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the detailed Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
So it is downright chilly. In fact, the little drop in temp,
Mhm.
which always happens, right, as the sun is coming up, you get a little breeze or whatever, and that kind of gives you a little. That's what I'm
Yeah,
calling it. A
no,
little.
there's a burr outside this morning. When you step outdoors, you will feel that, and that's kind of the feeling yesterday too, mimicking that. But today is actually about 10 or 11 degrees cooler. Not as much of a breeze. Now, granted, there's no rain around this morning, so that's a plus. But you'll have to deal with the cold instead. Winds right now 9 or 10 miles per hour, making you feel a little chillier. But with the clouds that are around this morning, giving way to maybe some breaks of sun. If you find yourself in South Jersey today, plan on more so the cloud cover right down to Cape May. Yesterday made it up to 60. There's no warm front to save you today. We'll be back in the low 50s, which is still below our average. This is for Newark, average high of 54 degrees for the date. That is a little bit warmer. If you head down toward Atlantic City, it should be about 56 degrees. Sun sets at 4:35, and you know how much earlier it is getting dark out with that earlier sunset. Notice as we head through the rest of the morning, these clouds linger for the rest of the day. Again, maybe a break of sun, but plan on more so that healthy dose of clouds, a pretty thick layer, right through the end of the day, especially in South Jersey. Maybe more of a break of sun by this afternoon up in central and northern New Jersey. Tomorrow begins dry, but with the clouds all day, it gradually turns wet by the afternoon. I think this rain comes in just in time for the evening rush, lasts throughout much of your Friday evening. If you have Friday evening plans, it'll be wet and chilly, and then the real cold sets in. It starts on Saturday, clears out our clouds, beautiful start to the weekend with nice, dry, sunny weather, but it gets even colder by the time we get to Sunday. The bigger picture shows the future cast with the clouds that move back in later on tonight for the entire state. That's ahead of some rain that takes over tomorrow. Cold front clears us out to start off a beautiful weekend, but look what happens with our temperatures. They get oh so chilly thanks to that high pressure that slides on by, keeping us clear even into Monday, but it's going to mean some really cold starts ahead. So this morning's frost is like a taste of what's to come by the time we get into the rest of the weekend. Sunday morning temperatures right down around freezing, only climbing to 49. Monday, repeat, and then look what happens. We turn milder as we head into next week. Could be as mild as 61 by Wednesday, so a little bit of a nicer trend. The early morning showers down the shore are gone right after sunrise, so I think it's a sunny day for you. Still chilly on Sunday, cool as well into Monday and Tuesday, and then milder by the end of next week. We'll talk turkey. We've got the Thanksgiving forecast, Ken, coming up in just a few minutes.
I love it. All right, talking turkey. That's definitely, but I'll go for that 61 any day of the week, Mike. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. I know Pam, our director, is upset with me now that I said that. It takes so little to set her off. All right, Mike, we'll check back. Thank you. 33 degrees now in northern New Jersey, 31 in Trenton, and it's 31 in Cape May. In terms of traffic, we have a disabled vehicle on the Garden State local lane southbound north of 124 Main Street in Sayreville with the right lane blocked there. We also have a Garden State Parkway crash northbound north of exit 90, Chambers Bridge Road in Brick. All lanes are open, vehicles on the left shoulder. Staying on the Garden State, a crash on the GSP northbound north of exit 130BA, Route 1 in Woodbridge. All lanes open, vehicles are on the right shoulder. We have a water main break reported now, Route 168 southbound, which is Prospect Ridge Road or Boulevard rather, in Mount Ephraim with the right lane and right shoulder closed. And we have a crash on the New Jersey Turnpike, Pennsylvania extension westbound, west of the New Jersey Turnpike South. In Mansfield, all lanes are open but causing delays. Your approaches to the Hudson River right now, Lincoln and Holland both reporting 30 minutes across. GWB upper and lower levels pretty heavy now. We're talking 40 to 45. Upper on the right, lower on the left. Lower maybe saves you a couple of minutes. 7:35 is our time, and the darker, colder fall and winter months cause many people to feel the effects of the so-called winter blues. Mike was just talking about the sunset at 4:30 now, and the shorter day, you get less sunlight on your skin, less vitamin D. You're not out laying in the sun or walking in the sun as much. Some even experience what is called seasonal affective disorder, or appropriately called the acronym SAD. Dr. Stephanie Marcello, or Marcello, I would say Marcello with my Italian background, the chief psychologist at Rutgers University Behavioral Health Care. I hope either way you prefer, doctor, it's your name. I'll call you anything you prefer.
You nailed it with the Marcello, so great job.
Thank you. Yeah, that's me. I'm Rosato Marcello. We'll open up a doctor and law firm together. Um,
Oh, we
so,
could.
right. So I was thrilled when I saw that you were on because 10 years ago, I went to a psychiatrist and was diagnosed with SAD. And I had a lamp, a light, and the first thing I do when I get out of bed to this day in this weather, I don't have to tell you. First thing I do is immediately put on the light and look into the light. So for those who are impacted by this, we know this is a real thing, right? So tell people what
Yep.
seasonal affective disorder is and how we differentiate from just being a little off in the winter with the shorter days.
So, I mean, first, I think it's great, and thank you for sharing that you experienced those symptoms and you went and got support for it, and that you're finding it really helpful. And just to reinforce that, if you know that you have SAD, you would want to do exactly what you're doing, that light therapy and being prepared and knowing that it's kind of coming. So you start making sure you do the things that are going to be helpful for you, and light therapy being one of the most effective treatments. Seasonal affective disorder, think about like depression type symptoms on a continuum. So it's not like you do or you don't have them. So people talk about winter blues. It's more than the winter blues, because winter blues are common for a lot of us. Seasonal affective disorder is a type of depression that you experience typically during the winter months. So as the days become darker earlier and it becomes colder, people could experience things like feeling sad most of the day, every day, not feeling, eating more, specifically carbs. We tend to crave a lot of carbs because that serotonin drops, not enjoying the things that you used to do. So it's not just that it's cold and you don't want to go out because you're choosing that, but you're feeling okay at home. It's that you don't have the motivation to go out. So you're not doing
Mhm.
the things socially that you normally would be doing. You're isolating more. You could be having trouble sleeping. So wanting to sleep too much, always kind of feeling tired and lethargic. And I would say the biggest symptom, because you don't have to have all of those to have seasonal affective disorder, is that there's a change in your typical behavior around this time of year for 2 years in a row.
Mhm.
And it's impacting your life. And oftentimes loved ones are commenting and saying you, hey, you just don't seem yourself, what's going on? And you just can't get that motivation, that drive to want to get out and do the things that you typically do. And there's very scientific reason, for that with our circadian rhythms and the sleep cycles and the change that has such a significant impact on mood.
Yeah, and doctor, I did the morning show at Channel 7 for 20 plus years, so I had a weird circadian rhythm as it was. I would get up at 1:30 in the morning and I would get into bed while it was still light out, and I had done that for so many years. So as it was, my circadian rhythm was so messed up. But with me, in my case too, I'm sorry to make this about me, but because I could illustrate what you're saying from a personal experience. My own father, who is 95, he's a dementia patient. He suffers from some form of it, and he requires light therapy in order to get back into a circadian rhythm that allows him to get to sleep at night, or else he can't sleep. So he does light
Mhm,
therapy through the day, very similar. He doesn't do it upon waking, he does it during the day, but it
mhm.
gets him into a sleep cycle. So it's amazing how the fluctuating light rhythms and whatnot can get you into that. It's such an effective, easy, non-medicating treatment, and it really, really works. How about people who spend more time, or should they spend more time outside in daylight hours? Does that have the same effect in alleviating the symptoms?
It does. Even, think about, remember when a baby is born, what do we do to get them their vitamin D and to help with their sleep cycle? They always say, put them by the window, right? So you're making sure that they're getting that light, getting that vitamin D. We are typical. So we are same in that way. So like my office, I always sit by a window. So making sure you're getting light during those daylight hours. And here's the other thing. You can still walk and get outside when it's cold. So I know sometimes we may not want to do that, but if we start early and start in the fall going for that walk, put your hat and gloves on. Part of what happens in the winter is connection is protection. So we may go for that nightly walk with our neighbor. We see people in the neighborhood. We see the dogs, right? Like you have this whole routine and then suddenly it all stops. And so it can lead to sometimes more isolation, but you can still get out there in the winter. But absolutely, sitting by a window, getting any daylight that you can. And there's lots of other things that you can do too. So we have to, the little things that actually are the big things. So being on a regular sleep cycle, making sure as you're going to bed the same time every night, trying to wake up the same time every morning, watch what you're eating. So there's a tendency to want to eat like carbs and sugary foods, which never really make us feel good at the end. So making sure that your nutrition is on point, making sure that even when you don't want to go out and kind of see some of those friendships that you still do, that you're still having that connection. If you know that you have, that these are symptoms that you deal with every year, we want to be really proactive and start early. So in the
Mhm.
fall, okay, I know that this could be coming. And you mentioned your dad, there is a genetic predisposition when we talk about major depressive disorders, and this is a subset of that. There is also
Mhm.
a summer seasonal affective disorder, which is less common, but it's these shifts in the daylight time and and just the change. Think about it. It's really hot in the summer too.
Yeah. It's funny you talk about craving carbs. I used to crave alcohol in the winter. Never craved it in the summer, really. I used to crave it in the winter, and I can't have it because I have AFib, and with the medications I take, I was like, you can't have that. All right, great. But that I used to crave alcohol, I guess, as like medication. Thankfully, I didn't go in that direction. But I know people who used to drink very heavily in the cold weather. I mean, I don't know if there's a connection. Look at the poor Russians. I'm being anecdotal here, and in the cold weather and the darker seasons, and known for their vodka and whatnot. I don't know if there's a connection or if just again anecdotal, but who knows? Or they just make good
There's
vodka.
absolutely well, there's absolutely a connection
Ah,
because if you think about it, human nature is if you're experiencing symptoms, you're not even really understanding maybe why you're feeling this way. Why all of a sudden am I feeling sad? Am I feeling hopeless? Am I feeling helpless? Am I feeling like I don't want to do anything? I'm unmotivated. Um, you want to medicate that. And, not that that's what we want people to do because that obviously leads to other problems. But
doctor,
in the
I
moment,
have
you're
to
looking
pause
for
you.
that
I'm sorry to
symptom
pause
relief.
you, doctor. We're about to hit a hard commercial break, so I got to pause this. But thank you so much. It's Dr. Stephanie Marcello, chief psychologist at Rutgers University Behavioral Health Care. We got to have you back. Thank you for joining us. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks for having me. Happy Thanksgiving.
Our Stable Life, New Jersey's first equine wellness center. Are you or a loved one suffering from PTSDs, trauma, or life challenges? Consider non-riding equine therapy, where the soul is touched by the presence of a horse with a certified counselor. Our Stable Life is a non-profit at Bergen Equestrian Center in Leonia, New Jersey. We partner with individuals, groups, and agencies to help people recover from addiction, trauma, phobias, and more. Explore equine therapy for healing. BergenEquestrianCenter.com.
At AmeriHealth, we understand what's important to you. It's why we offer some of the lowest cost health plans in New Jersey, with access to one of the state's largest networks of doctors and hospitals. Plus, with free 24/7 virtual care, you can see a doctor anytime and anywhere. And we're committed to giving back to help make a difference in our communities. Learn more at AmeriHealth.com. A health plan for everyone.
Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. It is 7:45. We will take your calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. You want to talk about seasonal affective disorder? We just had the good Dr. Marcello on, or Marcello, either way you can pronounce your name. Please give us a call. Let us know about if you're impacted. Do you just feel the winter blahs, the winter blues? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the dark and early Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
And Mike, we were just talking about SAD, seasonal
Mhm.
affective disorder.
Yes.
I'm never depressed. I'm a very happy, easygoing kind of guy. My dad too, but yet we both definitely, I noticed my father was definitely a little different in the darker, colder weather. And I suddenly, as the doctor was saying, I would crave food, I would crave alcohol, and I would feel
Sure.
just a little off and anxious. I always felt anxious. Switching to light therapy, and my other thing I didn't get to mention with the doctor, I always make sure I have a flight booked to Florida, even if it's not for two and a half
Just gonna
months.
say. Yep.
In the back of the head, knowing that I'm going to go,
Right.
that's just something that sits there and it's like a positive in my head. That's what always works for me.
And
So
I
I don't
feel
know
like
about
all the
you.
devices, that have microphones listen to your conversation and go, oh, time to send a promotion for a flight booking. Because, yeah, this is the time of year that you want to crave that sunshine because it feels like we're lacking here, especially with the very short
Mhm.
daylight hours here in New Jersey. Through this afternoon, we start our morning at 6:50 with sunrise going through the afternoon 4:39 sunset. So, yeah, those early sunsets really hitting home, especially with temperatures that only make it into the 40s. So a chilly, cloudy feel today with slightly below average temperatures for the first part of December. Most of the cold is locked up in the north and west, but hey, head down to South Florida, and there is some milder weather there expected to be above average in terms of temperature going into the end of them. See, Ken, you belong there. It's above average by the end of the month in Florida. Through the rest of the, at least the next 2 weeks here in New Jersey, anticipating slightly higher chances of wet weather. And you can see them here on the 7-day, specifically coming in for Friday night into Saturday, as temperatures will warm only into the low 50s with clouds and showers throughout the day. Friday, I think Saturday clears out nicely. Sunday's a beautiful day. Monday looks pretty too, as temperatures try to make it back into, well, at least average territory. But look what happens the day before Thanksgiving, sunshine 61 degrees. I think it'll be a mild Thanksgiving with highs well above average, 61 on Thanksgiving Day. I'll take a look at winds coming up, but right now looking to see that rain will wrap up, leading to just some clouds by the morning. A lot of people like to watch the parade. Some like to go to the parade and deal with those crowds early in the morning. But I think we're looking okay, at least in terms of storms for Thanksgiving morning. So a milder feel ahead for the bird, Ken.
The bird and the happy bird day. Yeah, no, it's you know what though? I mean, you know where Channel 7 used to be. We used to be when I was at Channel 7. I'm not there anymore. You're not there anymore, but it was on the Upper West Side. They've since moved down to the area where the Holland Tunnel is. They just moved a few months ago. But for decades, they were up on the Upper West Side, right near where the parade used to end up. It used to take off and end up there by 79th in that area. So Channel 7 used to be at 67, right in the thick of it, or 72nd, that's 70th, by 72nd Street. So I remember having to do part of the morning show there for years. And even though there were just what felt like millions of people jammed in, everybody was in a good mood.
Yeah,
Everybody was in a good mood. You knew you were going to go
sure.
home and have a great Thanksgiving meal and you just wish people well. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just a special time. Those are the nice times to be New Yorkers, and you're not into politics and you
Yeah.
just have a good time. So if you're going to go, leave the politics at home. Don't worry about traffic. Just go and have a good time, right? That's one of the
And then you
nice things
look up
about
at the
being in this
people in
area.
the windows in the apartments on the Upper West Side, kind of snuggled there with their cup of hot cocoa, and you go, oh, nice to be eye level with the big balloon.
Yeah, you look up and think, nice to be able to spend $8,000 a month on an apartment. Uh, or more. All right, but you're right. Yes, we have a week to go. Thank you so much, Mike. And don't forget, next week we're gonna have all those little segments I did with Chef Jesse on how to make
Hmm.
a roasted standing rib pork roast, and they're only like $14 for a giant
Wow.
rack. That's a lot. You could feed a big family on that. And
Yeah.
it's good. Let me tell you. All right, Mike, we will check back, sir. Thank you. I could talk about food all day. 31 degrees right now in northern New Jersey, 31 also in Trenton, and it's 31 down the shore, down in Cape May. And in terms of traffic, what we have now, a crash with injuries on Route 4. This is both directions, just east of River Road in Teaneck, and look at what it's causing. So clearly, we say it's both directions. You see how there are almost no cars coming at you? That's because they're all stuck on the other end of it. So the incident we're talking about, that crash, is just around that bend, and it's keeping most of those cars at bay coming towards you. And obviously, the cars on the right side, they're going into that crash area or bumper to bumper. So that is east of River Road, impacting traffic both directions in Teaneck. That is Route 4. We have a disabled vehicle, I-678 northbound by exit C. That's on the border of New York and New Jersey. The left lane is blocked there. Garden State Parkway has a couple of incidents. A disabled vehicle, GSP, local lanes southbound north of exit 124, Main Street in Sayreville. The right lane is blocked. Northbound, we have another issue at exit 130BA, Route 1 in Woodbridge. All lanes open. Vehicles are now on the right shoulder. Pam, just give me a heads up on if this is our interview. All right. Okay, so we'll do news block as planned, right? All right. Okay. We have a water main. Sorry about that, folks. Little behind the scenes. Water main break on Route 168 southbound, which is Route 654 Prospect Ridge Boulevard, Mount Ephraim, with the right lane of 2 lanes and the right shoulder closed right now. Let's take a look at the Hudson River crossings. Lincoln and Holland are both reporting about 25 to 30 minutes in. The GWB upper and lower levels right now are both reporting about 35 to 40, and it looks like it's not moving, and it's not moving, at least on the upper level. I should say on the lower level on the left, it's barely moving. So it might be a little more than 35 to 40, but that's the official count we're being told from the traffic folks. 7:52, President Trump announced yesterday he had signed congressional legislation forcing the federal government to release documents related to convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. The measure Trump signed into law requires the Department of Justice to turn over all unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials, and all classified information to the maximum extent possible to Congress within 30 days. The bill sailed through the House, and it was sent to Trump's desk by the Senate with unanimous consent. 7:53. Investigators say they are looking for a person of interest in that fatal stabbing near the Linden TGI Fridays back on November 9th. Police say it happened about 10 p.m. at the restaurant at 400 South Park Avenue. They received reports there was a fight. When they got there, officers found 35-year-old Eric Kunz of Keyport. He had a stab wound to the abdomen. He was not responding, taken to a nearby hospital, and sadly, he was later pronounced dead. The Union County Prosecutor's Office has released an image of a person of interest. They say that this man is approximately 50 years old. He's black, 6 feet, 200 pounds, shoulder length locks, a black and gray patch beard, dressed in all black, as you see on your screen there, with red and black Air Jordan 14 sneakers and no tattoos. And he may go by the name D. If you know anything about this or any connection, any information that could lead to this person of interest, please call police. Remember, all people are innocent until proven guilty. It is 7:54, and police say a driver ran a red light and collided with a Hasbrook Heights police cruiser. A review of the officer's dash cam shows that officer did have the green light when the second vehicle failed to stop at a red light. The incident happened 5 a.m. Tuesday at the intersection of Terrace and Franklin Avenues in Hasbrook Heights. The officer is expected to recover. The 64-year-old driver was not hurt, the driver of the other vehicle. He is a man from Hackensack, and he is expected to get some summonses. 7 years after a sexual assault scandal rocked his career, Kevin Spacey has revealed that he's now homeless. The Oscar-winning actor announced he's living in hotels, Airbnbs, and going wherever the work is, but does not officially have a home. Spacey, who has denied any wrongdoing, said his legal costs have been astronomical. The 66-year-old American Beauty actor was accused by over 30 men of inappropriate behavior or sexual assault. Spacey was found not guilty of Spacey was found not guilty of assaulting four men in July of 2023 in a high-profile UK trial and found not liable in a 2022 lawsuit in New York. Excuse that flub. 7:55, Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Sherphillis McCormick of Florida, indicted by a federal grand jury on charges of stealing $5 million in FEMA funds, which she is accused of laundering to support her 2021 congressional campaign. The indictment was announced by the Justice Department yesterday. That indictment alleges the Congresswoman and her brother got a $5 million overpayment in FEMA funds directed to their family health care company in connection with a contract for COVID-19 staffing. And apparently, according to officials, the staffing may or may not have been done, but the extra money was not supposed to go into the account. Apparently, according to officials, she took that money and put it through some laundering accounts to get back into her account, which she used to support her 2021 congressional campaign. The indictment was announced by the Justice Department yesterday. It alleges that that she is, in fact, guilty with her brother of doing this. That is an allegation. If found guilty, she could face over 50 years in prison. Oh, to be a fly on the wall, President Trump and Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani will meet at the White House tomorrow. Trump said the meeting will take place in the Oval Office with, quote, further details to follow. In Trump's post on Truth Social announcing Friday's meeting, the president referred to the mayor-elect as, quote, communist mayor of New York City, Zohran Kwame Mamdani. Trump has said he doesn't want Mamdani to succeed, but he does want New York City and New Yorkers to succeed. Mamdani said his team was the one who reached out to the White House to set up the meeting. As you know, that Trump said he'll meet with anyone at any time. And New Jersey hospitals are seeing an increase in admissions associated with COVID, flu, and RSV. Since the end of October, respiratory hospitalizations have spiked. The majority of those hospitalizations, COVID and flu, reported in ages 65 and older. RSV admissions are children 4 and under and 65 and older, but the middle ages are fine with RSV. Cases are expected to rise with the colder weather, forcing more people to gather inside and more frequently with the holidays coming up. It is 31 degrees right now, just below freezing, 7:57. When we come back, we have lots more of your news, traffic, weather, everything to get through your day. You're watching ONNJ Jersey Mornings for your Thursday, 1 week away from Thanksgiving. Did you get your turkey yet? You know, today's like the deadline if you got a frozen turkey to let it start thawing out in your fridge. We're coming back in 2 minutes. Don't go away. very good morning to you. 8 a.m. on Thursday, November 20th, 2025. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, and the phone lines are open. 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. Mixed sun and clouds. Highs upper 40s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
So, Mike, I know we've talked about this in the past that the real weather stations take an average of temperatures, right? And they kind of average it out. They do it over a few minutes and different locations on the
Mm-hmm.
premises. They're mine. I just have one sensor I keep in the shade upstairs
Okay.
outside. But my sensor went from 31.5 to 34.2 in the last 10 minutes, which I thought was kind
Uh-oh.
of interesting. So it's chilly. It's chilly,
It
but
is
either way,
chilly.
that's
Yes, it
downright
is
cold.
chilly. Well, A plus for actually putting the temperature in sensor in the shade. Very important because a lot of times you find them in the sun and they jump 10 degrees just in a matter of a few minutes. Not the case this morning. You have a 28-degree starting temperature in Morristown, 27 up in Sussex. It's still chilly, even toward Newark, 37, where you tend to carry some of the heat from yesterday over into the morning hours. But that's where you'll find a little bit of an extra wind, so even the wind chill is down below the freezing mark. We're 13 degrees colder than this time yesterday in Atlantic City. A very chilly start to the morning, but no rain as opposed to yesterday, which was pretty wet and soggy. We'll stay dry throughout this afternoon. There will be some light breezes around, primarily coming in from the east, so really impacting the shore communities. But beyond that, it'll stay feeling quite cool throughout tomorrow with another round of chilly weather setting up for the weekend. Until then, we have some rain to get through, and that comes in the form of some wet weather by tomorrow afternoon. After the sunshine today, briefly, we're back to clouds later on this evening, and then it's all about the cloud cover for tomorrow morning, transitioning to rain by tomorrow afternoon. Once that wet weather is gone, we're dry for several days, leading to a beautiful weekend, sunny, but chilly. You'll really feel the chill, especially early on in the morning. Actual air temperatures dipping down into the 20s with wind chills by Sunday morning in the teens. So some very cold weather on the way. Heading out to brunch or church Sunday morning, it's going to be a really cold start to the day despite all the sunny weather. The next few days features, again, that milder touch with some rain by tomorrow. Milder by a few degrees, only make it to the mid-50s. And then Saturday and Sunday, we see those temperatures slide back down to cooler than average. We'll tell you more about the little bit of a warm up on the way for Thanksgiving. That's coming up with a check of your forecast, Ken, in just a few minutes.
I love it when the turkey literally feels so warm he sheds his own feathers, and that way just makes it easier for what comes later. Just
Yeah.
saying. Uh, and then the turkey is adopting the Chick-fil-A theme of eat more chicken.
Oh, right.
Serve a chicken. I have friends who did that, by the way, who do not like turkey,
They
and they
just do
roast a
chicken.
good chicken on Thanksgiving. And let me
And
tell you,
it's
there is
great.
nothing wrong with chowing down on a chicken. Yeah, good
True.
chicken on a good roasted chicken done the right way. Or as our friend Chef Jesse will talk about next week when we taped our segments, he said he will never roast a whole turkey ever. From a chef's perspective, break it down, cook the dark meat one way, the light meat the other
Oh,
way.
into pieces.
Otherwise, you
Sure.
can, I mean, or he said, do a small dummy turkey for presentation and
Mm,
don't eat it and have the parts because you can get some fairly cheap,
right.
turkeys and serve the parts roasted properly.
Okay.
And that way you'll have it perfect. Otherwise, there's no way you can make the breast, cook the breast and the dark meat at the same time. I don't care how much you
Right.
marinate. I don't care how much you brine. It's going to come dry. The breast is going to be like shoe leather. All right,
Yeah.
just saying. Thank you very much, sir. Look at this. Too much food talk here on this, and now I'm starving. We'll check back, Mike. 34 degrees now, northern New Jersey and in Trenton, 33 degrees in Cape May, and 34 in Vineland. In terms of traffic, let's go over to Toms River. The Toms River toll plaza by the Garden State Parkway, very heavy right now as you make your way through there a little bit. Those left lanes, usually you don't see that kind of delay in the Toms River area, but this is down by mile marker 84.9. So in the vicinity of exit 84, 83, the Toms River Toll Plaza, a little bit of a slowdown through there. Also on the Garden State Parkway, we have a few other incidents, none of them major. Actually, they just pulled all of them off. So I guess they've all cleared up. It's just a little volume up and down. Let's go over to Route 4. So Route 4 up in the area of Teaneck right now. We have an overturned vehicle. Look at what that's causing. This is westbound east of River Road in Teaneck. And just ahead, all lanes are closed. So those folks, you could see they're crawling. They're going to come into a closed area. That's going to take a little while as they investigate an earlier accident. We also have a crash on the New Jersey Turnpike, Pennsylvania extension westbound, west of the New Jersey Turnpike south. That is in Mansfield. All lanes are open, causing delays through there. And your approaches to the Hudson River right now, 25 to 30, getting in on either the through either the Lincoln or the Holland. GWB upper and lower very heavy now, 45 minutes. The upper level is on the right. Lower level is on the left. 8:05, and Joel Steele has lived through some of life's most difficult challenges: jail, bankruptcy, even a near-death experience. And that all before he turned 25. But instead of letting those moments define him, he used them to fuel a complete life reset. Joel has written a new book called Life Switch: How to Experience the Power of Living On. And he's pledged to donate $1 million to charity if the book sells at least 1 million copies. We say good morning to you, Joel.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. You flipped my hunger switch on, talking all about the turkey. I'm excited for Thanksgiving.
Me too. You know, Joel, we've just an aside, a quick aside. We've been shooting all these cooking segments leading up to Thanksgiving week. I am right now, I feel like I put on 10 pounds because I've sampled all the different foods you normally don't eat, but they're so good. Now I have to remind myself, get off that, because, otherwise you keep eating past Thanksgiving. And by January, you're like that. Anyway,
That's right.
that aside.
Your winter coat. Yep.
Exactly. So this is fascinating. All that you experienced at such a young age. When did you decide to transform your life?
Well, it started in phases, but I had these life switch moments starting as a young child. 8 years old was my first one. But then I didn't think about the fact that I could control how my life turned out. I played the biggest role. And so I really went dark for a while, and I went down the wrong path in that darkness, did some things, some petty crime, was asked to choose which jail cell I wanted to be in. And I thought to myself, I can't believe that my choices are limited to this, jail block A or B. And so that scared me straight and got me to realize that there's a better path, a lighter path I can go down. And I started to apply positive things into my life. And I started with positive thinking, the mindset. And whatever you think about is what your mind and your body gravitates towards. So I went on this journey of seeing what I could do in a positive way. And I realized over time, to make a long story short, I just had success after success after success and built up a success streak. And over time, I realized, this is a really easy formula that anybody can do if they're going through tough times, if they're not where they want to be right now in their life, to end up in a place where they're thrilled, where they're finding themselves having an extraordinary existence. And it was about 10 years ago at Thanksgiving time that I thought about writing this book, because I thought, I had all these amazing things happen, good and bad. I can save people time, money, and misery by sharing what I did. And I decided to turn it into a book and get out there and inspire people on a one-on-one basis. And the premise of the donation is to inspire a lot more people to help do something good for a lot of people that need the help.
We talk about history. Those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it, and yet society historically ignores history, right? Is always ignorant of history, or even if they know history, they still think, but this is different. This time it'll be different. It'll be better. And yet we keep repeating the same mistakes. That's just human nature, I'm guessing. We always think we're going to be better than the last guy. If somebody feels overwhelmed, what are the first steps that individual should take?
Well, you want to step back and realize something that most people don't do, and that's emotions are like the game of charades. Emotions are telling you everything you need to know, but without words. And so a lot of people, they look for a solution. They feel uncomfortable, sad, depressed, anxious, and they view that as a negative. But really, it's telling you something critical, and you have to tune into yourself. And my theory is we're all wired for success, fulfillment, and happiness, but you have to provide the power. You have to flip the switch on. And you do that by spending some time with yourself, getting to learn how you're wired. And I had these moments. I remember I had a stepfather. He was a doctor, and I was anxious and worried, and it was getting down, and I needed to get out of debt. And he prescribed me 2 medications. And I remember this important choice point. I thought, the answer to my problems is not in either of these bottles. The answer is within me. The anxiousness was fuel I needed to take and run in a certain direction. And I built a financial practice on that fuel, on that fear, and on that anxiety. So use emotions, tune into them. You're not supposed to feel happy and comfortable all the time. You're supposed to utilize these emotions and turn them into something and help direct you into the right path of how you want to take your life.
Fascinating. And you talk about setbacks being stepping stones. How do you encourage people to get into that mindset?
The reality is sometimes failure, which feels like it's negative, can be a blessing. My restaurant failed when I was 24 years old. I owed close to $500,000 in debt. And I can tell you, Ken, that it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me because it launched me into a different, much better direction. One where I built a financial practice. I got to be with my kids and my wife and enjoy my life to the fullest. So don't be afraid to fail. Try things, learn things. You're not going to have a phenomenal life if you're always playing it safe. So you either choose the easy option A without a big payoff or choose option B, which is going to take you places. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to get out there and try something new and something uncomfortable.
And so, just so the people who don't realize, you are a financial expert, an entrepreneur, co-owner of a G League basketball team, right? And an author. So you've applied all of this, I'm assuming, in when you wrote the book.
Yeah, all the things that I've done in my life and I found success with and learned from failure, that's when it hit me about 10 years ago that this isn't just for me and my family's success. It's for everybody that can do this. I was living the most average life for most of my life until I literally flipped this switch on. And you can see now I'm just excited to be here. I'm excited to be alive and see where each day can take me. And everyone has this opportunity. And I want more people to flip their switch on and be excited to be themselves and see where they can take themselves and their lives.
I love it. Well, if we sell 1 million copies, we get $1 million donation. So we got to encourage people to do that. What is your website for more information?
You can go to bookjoelsteele.com. You could also Google Joel Steele Life Switch. The book is everywhere books are sold. You can read more about the campaign on my website, bookjoelsteele.com.
I love it. All right. So once again, the book is called Life Switch: How to Experience the Power of Living On. Author Joel Steele. Appreciate you coming on. You are a motivator, sir. Thank you. Have a good day and a great Thanksgiving.
You too. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. It is now 31 degrees chilly. So it's dropped again. 31 degrees, 8:13, mixed sun and clouds today. Highs in the upper 40s. Mike will be back with a full Garden State forecast, and we'll take calls at 888-658-0234. Be right back.
Hey, New Jersey, want to choose how you live as you age? Tune into AARP New Jersey's new show, The Power of Us, the show that celebrates aging with dignity, purpose, and joy. From protecting yourself against fraud, to staying healthy and aging in place, to finding purpose through volunteering, we've got the tools, tips, and stories to help you thrive. Join us on ONNJ and discover the power of us.
Welcome back to ONNJ Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:15, taking calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
So it did it again, Mike. My thermometer went from 34 to 31 to 38, and I am in the
Uh-oh.
shade. What is going on? Do I have to go shake that thing?
Oh, maybe a little bit of a breeze, a car passing by, right? Could be. Yeah, a few little variations. It just lets you know it's cold outside. And even with all the chilly weather, which brings up a good point, Ken, when you look at your phone or ask your digital assistant what the temperature is right now, that's actually coming from a computer model that is whose data is hours old. So it's not necessarily a live interpretation of what's happening right outside. Uh, Also useful for when you look at wind speed. Winds are usually modeled too, and they dramatically underestimate how much wind there is today. Well, the good news about the wind today is that there won't be much because that'll just add to the chill, especially with highs climbing only into the mid 40s, upper 40s at best in central New Jersey. This is the cold air that lingers through this afternoon. And when the temperature, the actual air temperature, is above 50 degrees, the wind chill equation breaks and you don't have a wind chill. But there's plenty of cold air around, throwing through tonight into tomorrow that there is plenty of wind chill to be felt throughout the day on your Friday, especially throughout the overnight, and then by Saturday morning. But I think the real chill settles in for Sunday morning with another round of very clear sky and cold, chilly weather coming in for early Sunday morning. 19 is how it will feel in Flemington, 22 in Morristown, even the 20s down the shore for Sunday morning. So a really cold start ahead, ending the weekend with some clear sky, but of course very cold weather. So first we have the clouds for today and tomorrow, and then this is the rain right now over the Midwest that sets up for Friday evening, really tomorrow afternoon at the earliest into tomorrow evening, and then that'll all clear out by Saturday. Saturday could be left with some clouds, but it's a gradual clearing throughout the day, and then Sunday, that's where it turns chilly and stays chilly despite the sunshine all afternoon. The milder trends coming up on the 7-day, talking warmer for Thanksgiving. We'll tell you how warm. Those details can in a few minutes.
95 degrees on Thanksgiving. We'll take it. I'm kidding.
No. No, it's
Yeah.
350. It's 350 for 4 hours.
Or as Chef Jesse, who we will have on next week, Chef Jesse was saying that his mother, his sainted mother, rest her soul, used to roast the turkey at like 300 for 12 hours.
Oh
And he
no.
said this poor turkey,
Oh
she's
no.
probably looking down from heaven, right, saying, telling my secrets.
Well, that's
Um,
probably why he became a chef, right?
Right. And he says
Mm-hmm.
when he goes to relatives' homes, he keeps his mouth shut because he's not,
Ah,
everyone
yeah.
assumes that it's like the doctor coming and telling you should take this, you should take it. He says he just keeps his mouth shut. Let them do what they're going to do, everybody. And sometimes you're pleasantly surprised. But yeah, a
Yep.
lot of people, they think they have to roast that turkey until you just touch it and it falls apart. Well, it's dust, kind of like in Christmas Vacation. Remember
Chevy
the
Chase.
movie?
Yeah.
Chevy
Yep. Yep.
Chase. Oh my God. Clark, that's a good turkey. We have that. We have to show clips of that. That's just so cool. All right, sir. We'll be back. Thank you. 38 degrees right now, northern New Jersey, 34 in Trenton. It's 35 in Vineland and in Cape May at 8:19. In terms of traffic, let's go over to Route 4, shall we? We have an overturned vehicle, Route 4 westbound east of River Road in Teaneck. All lanes are closed. That's what these folks are driving into. Look at the mess. Not only on that roadway, look down to the left as people are trying to get around it. So that's the adjacent road that merges on. Just an absolute mess. Again, this is Route 4 westbound east of River Road in Teaneck. All lanes are closed. That's what they're all going into, a closed situation. We have an overturned vehicle now, Route 34 southbound north of Route 70 in Wall. The right lane and right shoulder are both closed in that case. And on the New Jersey Turnpike, Pennsylvania extension westbound west of the New Jersey Turnpike south in Mansfield, all lanes are open, but because of an earlier incident there, that's a mess. We have a water main break, and that is on Route 168 southbound by Prospect Ridge Boulevard in Mount Ephraim. The right lane and right shoulder are closed there. Your approaches to the Hudson River right now, Lincoln and Holland are both reporting 25 to 30. GWB upper and lower levels bumper to bumper, 45 minutes in. Either way, you're not going to get relief on either side. So just pack your patience to make your way into Manhattan today. 8:20 is our time, and it has been over a decade since Superstorm Sandy slammed our area. So how's our infrastructure looking? Paul Toscarelli is Vice President of Electric Operations at PSE&G. We welcome you to On New Jersey Mornings, Paul.
Hey, good morning, Ken. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you on. I can't even imagine what it was like during Superstorm Sandy to be in charge of operations and electric and whatnot. That must have been between the warnings and the prep to the disaster afterward. I just describe what it was like to be there.
It was quite a challenging time back in Sandy back in 2012. We had never seen a storm of that magnitude in PSE&G service territory. Over 2 million of our electric customers were without power. That's about 90% of our customer base. Nearly half of those outages were due to switching and substation flooding that was caused by Sandy's historic storm surge. The message was clear: we needed a stronger, smarter, and more resilient electric system. And since then, we've spent the past decade or so hardening our infrastructure, elevating these substations, deploying advanced technology. So New Jersey is far better protected than it was then.
And you guys, you've invested at least $30 billion in infrastructure upgrades, right? So talk about some of the improvements that customers can see. And there are also things that customers don't realize you've spent money on because they don't see it. But if not for the investment, and any future storm would get us right back to where we were in 2012.
Well, that's right, Ken. Those investments are really paying off in both in our electric as well as our gas system over the past decade, with nearly 3/4 of that improved reliability and resiliency to our systems. These upgrades are delivering real results: less power outages, faster restoration times. Our electric grid performs better during everyday operations as well as during these severe weather events. We ensure that our electric and gas customers are resilient and reliable, and their top priority for PSE&G. Post-Superstorm Sandy infrastructure has been updated and hardened, and our systems and our efforts are just significant. And all of the weather events that we've seen such far have really proven to pay off. Some examples of what we've done: we've raised a bunch of substations, 42 to be exact. We've deployed a lot of advanced technology. We've installed over 1,500 smart switches to automatically reroute power. It's like having a self-healing system. And we've had an advanced grid management technology also deployed that allows us to detect outages and restore faster. And we've also replaced over 1,600 miles of aging gas mains, reducing our leaks by 45%.
That's amazing. And you talk about smart grid. That was what I was going to ask you about. Uh, from what I understand, a friend of mine who works down in Florida for FP&L, he was telling me how a lot of homes you get two incoming power sources, right? So in case one goes down, you have like a backup that's coming in. For the average layperson, we never even think about that. But when you folks map out a system so that you can prevent as many outages as possible, you come up with this stuff. It is brilliant how people just brainstormed at PSE&G and you figured out, like, there is a way to make this work. I can't even imagine what the think tank is like when the experts sit down and try to figure it out there.
It actually really is amazing, Ken, and really a lot goes on behind the scenes before execution, before installation. And remember, a lot of this stuff is automated. It thinks and acts quicker than a human can, ensuring that any kind of redundancies are paying off for our customers and making sure they get back quicker if there's ever any kind of storm event.
Yeah, we criticize AI for a lot, but now we're even looking at AI as running future nuclear power plants, the smaller regional nuclear power plants we're talking about putting online, and that's the thing about the irony is the nuclear power plant would run the plants that supply the AI, and the AI would run the nuclear power plant. It's like a yin and yang relationship. But that's where, I mean, we think back to the days of 3 Mile Island. I won't pull you down I'm not going to get you into the nuclear power plant discussion. I'm just throwing this out there. The 3 Mile Island, you had human operators, and there were issues, and people may or may not have noticed temperatures going up. In the era of AI, that's the beauty of AI. AI can find they can detect little tiny nuances of temperature shifts and whatnot to prevent tragedies from happening that humans would miss. That's the beauty of having AI in future power systems. So anyway, in terms of good
Go ahead.
I'm
That's for
sorry.
sure. Technology is great, and leveraging that technology for the benefits of our customers and the state of New Jersey is where we're at, and that's where our commitment will always be.
And good planning, of course, helps to keep energy costs stable. And it is not the fault of PSE&G when we have so many companies and AI and cloud service and electric vehicles pulling the demand on the system, and you have to supply these people. So that's why we are currently part of a regional grid, and costs are just high for the whole region, right?
That's right, Ken. And look, it's no secret about the high and the raising electric bills in the state of New Jersey. And the main reason for these costs rising, as you've indicated, is there's not enough power generation projected to affordably meet today's customers' demands. In June, electric supply costs went up by 20%. And that demand growth is really about a few factors. It's about population growth, it's consumer needs, the changing needs such as electric vehicles and data centers, as you indicated. So New Jersey, the power is purchased through state-run auctions. Under state law, regulated utilities cannot legally build or own generation to address this. So without that new supply, these costs have been increasing. The state does need to build more generation, and we need to do it right here in New Jersey. PSE&G stands ready to work with the state to be part of that solution to maintain long-term reliability and affordability to our customers.
Yeah, all people want, they want to be able to flip on a switch and see that electric coming in, and they don't even think about the process. And you guys make that as easy as possible to be done, but there's an awful lot of planning and work that goes into it behind. What's a website for PSE&G, Paul, for everybody to check for more info?
That's www.pseg.com. You can look under reliability to see more information about our reliability improvements, or you can look under affordability to see all of the programs and efforts that we have to keep customers' bills low.
Beautiful. Paul Toscarelli, Vice President of Electric Operations at PSE&G. We'd love to have you on again. Thank you for coming on and explaining so much for us. And happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, Ken. Thank you again for having me.
You bet. Thank you. And it is now 38 degrees. When we come back, we'll talk with an author who can talk us through life's major challenges. You're watching ONNJ Mornings. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Very good morning to Thursday, November 20th, 2025, 1 week before Thanksgiving. It is 38 degrees now, and it is 8:30. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. Mixed sun and clouds today, highs upper 40s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with a detailed Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
So not a bad day today. Starting off a little chilly, but 'tis the
Yeah.
season, right?
'Tis the season for a little gusty wind, Ken, to go along with that cloud cover. Now, we'll get a few breaks of sun this afternoon, which will make it appear to feel a little bit warmer, but I think we'll stay in the 40s today. A cooler than average feel, even down the shore, with temperatures just crossing into the low 50s as those clouds hang around from Ocean City to Avalon and even by Cape May. So, yes, it'll be a very chilly beginning to the day. We are below our average temperature, 54 degrees. Look at that sunrise, 6:50 a.m., later and later into the morning hours as we approach 7 a.m. sunrises now, heading into December. With the clouds that are around currently, we'll see a few breaks of sun in northern New Jersey. The clouds pretty much hanging low across southern New Jersey today before overcast skies take over for tomorrow, giving us some rain by the early afternoon, steady showers into tomorrow night. So your Friday evening plans look wet and chilly. Temperatures holding in the 40s. It's a cold rain. And then the clearing takes over for Saturday morning. So we're dry, breezy, sunny on Saturday, but chilly. Highs stay in the 40s. And then starting off feeling like the teens by Sunday morning as actual air temperatures dip down into the 20s. With another round of cold weather on the way for the weekend. Comes, of course, after a little bit of rain. That's due to the cold front that passes through tomorrow night into Saturday morning. And then Sunday, the high pressure is in control, keeping our skies nice and clear. You'd think that would warm us up, but it's actually a delayed effect because we do warm back into the low 60s, but we have to wait till after the weekend into later next week, as soon as Wednesday, to see some milder weather. We'll make it into the low 60s, albeit with a price, with some rain, but that's the next chance of rain on the 7-day after the Friday night into Saturday showers. Down the shore, some of those showers could linger into the very early morning hours on Saturday, but it's mostly dry during the daylight hours on Saturday. And then after some clouds on Tuesday with a warmer trend by Wednesday, those 60s will be on the way, Ken, for Wednesday and Thanksgiving Day on Thursday. We'll talk more about the Thanksgiving forecast with another check of the 7-day coming up.
So you see the problem with that when you have mild temperatures.
Okay.
When I was a kid, if you didn't have the extra fridge, it's sort of genetically mandatory for Italian Americans to have that extra fridge in
Yes.
the basement or the
Mhm.
garage. Okay,
Right.
non-Italian Americans don't get it. Why, for a family of three, do you have six refrigerators in your home? Well, you got to have one for the cheeses and one for the wines and
Uh-huh.
and you got to hang the
Yes.
prosciutto in one. That's the one in the basement. So whatever. This is just life as an Italian American. But what we would do is in Thanksgiving week, whatever, if it was going to be 30, 35, you could put an ice chest out in the shade, not in the sun, and put
Mm.
ice in it. And you could store the turkey that you're brining outside as long as it's well locked away from the
Yeah.
critters. But you can't do that when it's going to be 61. Don't try it.
No.
You will be
Mm-mm.
you'll have a Thanksgiving meal, but you won't have a day after. So as a good rule of thumb, if you can't keep it in the fridge, then just don't bother. Just order it in.
Yep.
So there you go. All right, Mike, we'll check back. Thank you, sir. It is 38 degrees right now in northern New Jersey, 34 in Trenton, and it's 35 at Cape May, 34 in Vineland. In terms of traffic, we go to Route 4. We've had this problem for over an hour. This is in Teaneck. Look at this mess. A crash is causing that. So bumper to bumper traffic in Teaneck right now, Route 4. Oh, they took away the better camera, Pam says. We had a different camera shot, but look at the vehicles in both directions coming off on the upper right of your screen, and that's the local road break off. Oh, that's where Route 4 actually merges as you get toward the Garden State Parkway. That's what that is. But that's an absolute mess. You can see. Oh, 95, not the GSP. That's 95. Okay. So just a mess. Just avoid that area if at all possible. Right now, we have an overturned vehicle reported. Route 34 southbound north of Route 70 in Wall. The right lane and right shoulder are closed. Speaking of the Garden State, we have a crash on the GSP local lane southbound north of exit 114 Red Hill Road in Homedale with a left lane block there. Car hit a deer there and they're taking care of things. Deer can cause a lot of damage when you're going 55 miles an hour. We have a crash on the Jersey Turnpike, Pennsylvania extension westbound west of the Turnpike South. So the main part of the turnpike south with the Pennsylvania extension, that's where that is. All lanes are open, but there's a lot of traffic through there. And a water main break to report on 168 southbound by Prospect Ridge Boulevard in Mount Ephraim. The right lane and right shoulder are closed. Lincoln and Holland tunnels both reporting 25 to 30 in, and the GWB 45 minutes up or lower. Take a look at the traffic bumper to bumper as you make your way in at this hour. There you have it. It is 8:36, and this morning we are shining a light on a local organization that is lifting families up. Literally, Love Lifts Us Up, or LLUU, supports families with newborns and seriously ill children at Jersey Shore University Medical Center. From car seats and diapers to medical equipment, transportation, even, God forbid, funeral assistance, LLUU steps in when families need it most. Erica Logarato is the secretary for Love Lifts Us Up, and Vanessa Schwartz is an intern with the organization who works directly with families in crisis. Good morning, Erica and Vanessa.
Hi.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for having us.
Nice to have you both on. Let's start with Erica. What inspired the creation of LLUU?
So, Love Lifts Us Up was created in 2017 by a social worker who actually works in the pediatric units of the hospital and a former pastor of a local church who has since retired, but he is still actually volunteering at the hospital, he and his wife, who is now volunteering as well. But they saw needs that were being unmet by these families that were unable to be discharged, or maybe it was taking a really long time to get assistance, which, if you've ever needed assistance coming from state or other organizations, you know that a lot of times it takes a little bit longer than you would hope to get vetted and to get organized. So they saw that need and wanted to be a stopgap to make sure that, you know, these kids and families were getting what they needed to be discharged, to make sure they weren't coming back to the hospital, and just to make sure everyone, was getting everything that they needed.
And there has been a 57% increase in requests for help this year. That is huge. What kinds of needs are rising most? Whoever would like to take this. You want to take this, Eric?
So,
Uh,
yeah, actually, Vanessa is actually right in the hospital too, so she sees a lot of it. But it's like everybody with inflation and with the finances, and now with SNAP. If you have a sudden emergency and you aren't uh, prepared for expenses, let's say your child is born prematurely and has medical needs, then you weren't ready to go to the hospital, you don't have the car seat for discharge, and maybe you don't have a special formula, and the insurance isn't covering it, and that's going to take a process. So you have all of these things that you didn't expect. You can't get discharged, so you need this car seat. When you go home, you need this formula. You haven't been working because maybe you didn't expect to take that time off yet. So you have all of these things. And the political climate, the less funding that community organizations are getting, it takes longer for the assistance once you leave the hospital. So I think a lot of that has to do with it. But like I said, Vanessa sees it in real time. I'm a little bit more on the back end, and I actually work as a community health worker as well. So I see some of that and try to do the long-term assistance as well in my career. But definitely, Vanessa, you can give a testament to what you see every day.
Yeah, please,
Um,
because Vanessa, let me just tell everybody, Vanessa is an intern working directly with the families. So you've seen the impact directly on the parents of newborns and seriously ill children on a regular basis, right?
yeah, so the need is growing, and thanks to our community, we've been able to fulfill every request so far. We've actually expanded beyond the hospital, so we also support the Market Street mission with clothing. We help moms in need through the Jane H. Booker Family Health Center with diapers, car seats, infant supplies. And one initiative that we're really proud of is supporting the pediatric ER's new lethal means counseling program. So we provide lock boxes to help keep medications and firearms secure in homes where there's a risk of suicide. So it's a simple resource that can save lives.
That is amazing. We just had a story of some parents who were arrested because they had a loaded handgun in the drawer next to their little child. So if you're going to have a gun in the house, and we do have a Second Amendment, you're allowed to do that, but keep it locked. You're supposed to have it in a lockbox or a safe. So thank you for doing that, among the many things you do. LLUU helps with everything for people who don't realize you take care of medical equipment and then sadly even have, when necessary, funeral costs. How do you assess what somebody's going to need?
So we work directly. The team at Jersey Shore University Medical Center they have amazing team members of social workers, of child life specialists. They also have chaplains and bereavement coordinators on staff. So part of their palliative care team does include bereavement coordinators who will, in these unfortunate circumstances, will take the time to sit with the families and assess their needs, and then will actually come to us and see how we can assist. And we work in coordination with them, with Dana Sylvie, who is the social worker founder, co-founder, who is still our little ninja on the floor. She also will see everything in real time and see what sort of assistance we can provide from our end that will help with what can be done on the hospital side, and then continue and follow the families even outside of the hospital, and anything that logistically can't be done from that end, we try to, like I get again, stop gaps are very big for us, and everything is very personalized. It's very one to one, and make sure that the families are getting what they need.
What we have about 10 seconds left. So what is a website if people would like to donate or for more info?
If
So
anyone
our
watching,
website is, yeah,
oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
You can
No,
visit our website at lluu.org or join our next volunteer meeting. We'd love to have you.
Perfect. Erica Logarato, Secretary for Love Lifts Us Up, and intern Vanessa Swartz. Thank you both for joining us, and thank you for what you do. Happy Thanksgiving. And we are
Thank
coming right
you.
back.
thank you.
Hey, New Jersey, want to choose how you live as you age? Tune into AARP New Jersey's new show, The Power of Us, the show that celebrates aging with dignity, purpose, and joy. From protecting yourself against fraud, to staying healthy and aging in place, to finding purpose through volunteering, we've got the tools, tips, and stories to help you thrive. Join us on ONNJ and discover the power of us.
Welcome back to ONNJ Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. 8:45 is our time, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has your Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
So I'm looking forward, Mike, to being able to go to Thanksgiving dinner next week wearing just like a shirt, no jacket.
That will be the case. Maybe just the vest, right? Because vests tend to be trendy, at least from what I've seen on Instagram from the finance bros. Got Nino a little vest. Maybe he'll wear that for Thanksgiving. But I don't dress. I don't dress the child. That's all for the mother to do. We've got plenty of clear sky ahead, and with the dry weather that we've seen over the last few days. Yes, the drought still exists in northwestern New Jersey, although we've seen a bit of an improvement. We're closing in on just our average rainfall, at least for the last 30 days. Only less than 1 inch of rain deficit there in the northwestern corner of the state, and there's a little bit more rain to come into tomorrow night and early Saturday morning. Most of that wet weather wraps up by the time the sun rises on Saturday, so it's clear today. Chilly for the next few days and cold even going into the first few days of December. Have to head way down south there to the southern tip of Florida to enjoy the above average temperature. Tropical, if you will, heading into December there. Well, it's tropical all year round. And with the dry weather that persists here across New Jersey, I think we have another round of cool weather ahead going into the weekend. Chilly on Sunday morning. Highs only making it to 49 by the afternoon. But we slowly warm back up into the low 60s for Wednesday. And yes, Thanksgiving Day, just forecasting clouds with those showers ending. So maybe we get a few breaks in the sun, of sunshine, I should say, for Thanksgiving morning. Always good to warm those people standing on Central Park West for the parade, or the rest of us just watching it from the comfort of our own home on Thursday morning. But overall, looking good. Not expecting any rain Thanksgiving Day.
There you go. And it's so funny because when we worked for Channel 7, you can reference the parade, but you couldn't reference, of course, that it was on Channel 4. Now it doesn't matter. Now we could say, we watch it on Channel 4. We have friends, you and I'm sure you have tons of friends at Channel 4. I got friends at Channel 4, Channel 7, Channel 2. My husband works at Channel 2. I mean, we're all like, it's just one big incestuous family of all the channels. So being here, we could talk about all of them, and we could talk about them nicely because we know people there.
That's right.
So, all right, my friend, we are doing some taping, I think, in just a little bit. So we'll check back with you in just about half an hour, Mike. But thank you very much, sir.
You bet.
It is 38 degrees right now, northern New Jersey, 34 degrees in Trenton. It's also 34 in Vineland, 35 in Cape May right now at 8:48. In terms of traffic, let's go back to Route 4. This has been a mess for a good chunk of the morning. And this, oh boy, it doesn't look as bad from this shot there, Pam. But this goes into a crash scene. Apparently, they got the crash off to the shoulder up ahead. All lanes were closed half an hour ago. They're now open, but the damage is done. You see everybody kind of crawling through. So that crash off to the shoulder, Route 4, located up in the area of Teaneck. We also have a crash on the Garden State Parkway local lanes southbound north of exit 114, Red Hill Road and Holmdel. The left lane is blocked. It's a car that hit a deer there. Overturned vehicle, Route 34 southbound north of Route 70 and Wall. The right lane and right shoulder are closed. Water main break, Route 168 southbound by Prospect Ridge Road in Mount Ephraim, with the right lane and right shoulder closed there as well. Your Hudson River approach is right now. Oh my gosh, is that bad? Wow. Lincoln, sorry about that. I'm amazed. Lincoln and Holland both reporting it's 25 to 30 at the Holland, 35 at the Lincoln. But look at the GWB. Guess what? They're now saying the GWB upper level is now going to cost you 50 to 55. Pam, when was the last time I said 50 to 55? Usually it doesn't go beyond 40. So the upper level is something going on. That's going to cost you 50 to 55. The GWB lower level, which is on your left, is 45 to 50. So either way, that's a lot of time invested to get into Manhattan. So pack your patience, give yourselves that extra time. 8:49, his decades of leadership, philanthropy, and dedication to public service have made a lasting impact on New Jersey. John P. Keegan, Chairman and CEO of the Charles Edison Fund and the Edison Innovation Foundation, has been inducted into the Hall of Fame for public service. Under his guidance, the fund and the Edison Innovation Foundation have championed STEM education, funded groundbreaking community initiatives, and more. And to you, we say congratulations and welcome, John. Good to have you here.
Ken, good morning, and it's nice to be with you.
You bet. I want to see when I go to Newark Airport. I want to see you up there, your picture now with all the other New Jersey innovators and people in the Hall of Fame. We got to have your picture up there. You deserve it.
Well,
Well,
I'm
what does
not
this
so sure
induction
about
mean to
that.
you?
I don't know if New Jersey needs that, but they certainly need people like Thomas Edison in there and Governor Edison, his son. I've
Absolutely.
had the
Well, look, we are so blessed to have Thomas Edison, having been at the state and all he invented, everything from Black Maria, for those of us who studied film, to
right.
electricity and the light bulb, and all the everyday innovations we don't even think about that Thomas Edison was behind. So, what does this induction mean to you?
Well, this induction means to me that I spent I spend most of my life trying to give back more to the society than I take from it, and that's the only reason why society works. And Edison was the same type of person. He wasn't the typical entrepreneur. He didn't go out and try to make money. He made money so he could invent. And his example is very, very important to the New Jersey Hall of Fame because he was the first one that was inducted into it. But I think very few people recognize the fact that he was the only person that I know that was designated not as just the man of the last century, but the man of the last millennium, the person that contributed most to humankind for the past 1,000 years. And that's pretty significant. That was a tremendous article done by Life magazine on that. And when I look at it and I take a look at New Jersey and I look back, for the last 1,000 years, Edison did almost all of this in the last 125 years, and he did it right here in New Jersey and West Orange. So it's really an honor for me to run his foundations and his son's foundations. Charles Edison Fund, as you know, was Secretary of the Navy, and he was
Mhm.
also governor of New Jersey from 1930, I believe, 41 to 43.
Amazing. And, there are detractors who love to say things like, well, Edison could have never invented the light bulb if he didn't have the filament that was invented by this guy. And I'm like, yeah, but who put it together and made it work and marketed it? Edison. You could say what you want, you could detract all you want. The reality is the reason why these things, these inventions, these creations that have innovated, changed our lives, the reason they are attributed to Thomas Edison is because he put it all together, made it work, and marketed it. And he did it wisely. And this is why we have what we have, things we use every day that we take for granted. The man was unbelievable. Just a brain that worked in a way that few human brains ever work.
Yeah, that's right. And he always believed that every idea was worth pursuing, but he was very, very adamant about the fact that he wanted to make sure that you translated the idea into something that was going to be good for humankind. Okay. In other words, it had to work, is what you're talking about, the
Mhm.
practicality of it. And he never really had any obstacles that he thought were in front of me. If an experiment didn't work, he would take the data, put it aside, go to something else, and then 4 or 5 years later come back to that same database that would enrich what he was doing up front. So, when you think about it, when he set up everything here in New Jersey, especially in West Orange, there were no precedents for that. There was no R&D in the world. He invented R&D. And his R&D, he not only translated to the private sector, but he introduced that into government, okay? And he was a
Right.
big, very, very big part of the U.S. Uh, Navy. His son was Secretary of the Navy, and he was also chairman of the Naval Reserve Board, and that was going back to 1918. So uh, what he left for us was a lot of encouragement, and he had a great saying, and his saying was, "There's a better way to do it. Find it." Okay, and if you take that every day in your life, okay, anything that you want to do, Ken, anything that your audience wants to do, think about that. They can improve what they're doing right now, and they can do it in a better way. The New Jersey Hall of Fame is really the embodiment of all these type of people that have the courage to take on something new, and they have the strength with which to see it to the end. And it's all for the improvement of the qualitative life of people. That's why I get excited about the New Jersey Hall of Fame, which is a terrific organization. And the people that run it and operate it, it's apolitical. It listens to everybody's views. It wants to educate the kids. You've got to come over and see the exhibit that we have there in the Meadowlands, which is phenomenal. It's very immersive and it's all interactive. The kids love it. People love it. It excites you. It gets you going in the right direction every day.
Yeah, one of my favorite singers of all time, Whitney Houston, is in that Hall of
Yes.
Fame, and I love Whit. I could still cry listening to that voice. Gone too soon, and a lot of people getting back to Edison. A lot of people don't realize that. I mean, I said TV. I meant to say film. The first film studio ever on the planet in history was right here in New Jersey, Black Maria, and it was. I mean, we don't even think about it, but that was one of the inventions. The film industry started right here, correct?
The cradle for the film industry was right here in New Jersey. And then Edison had some problems with people, taking away his patent rights. Okay. So they all went to Chicago. Edison followed them to Chicago. Then he followed them to LA. And then they had a big litigation, went up to the Supreme Court. Edison won. All right. The cradle of the motion picture industry is right here in West Orange. It's the Black Maria. We have our foundation has the intellectual property rights to that. We market that worldwide. Right now, Governor Murphy had a program here in New Jersey to encourage people to come in and do the films, and that's very successful. Netflix is doing a very big project now, and we're going to work with all of them to highlight the fact that this is where it all started.
John, I need to cut you out only because we're at the end of the show right now, but I could have you on to talk about this 1,000 more times. I love it. He's been inducted into the Hall of Fame for public service. John P. Keegan, Chairman and CEO of the Charles Edison Fund and the Edison Innovation Foundation. Congratulations again. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for shedding so much information about Thomas Edison and what a great man he was for New Jersey and humanity. Have a great day and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Ken, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
And that is on New Jersey Mornings for your Thursday. Have a wonderful day.